Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the Lolly Q podcast. This week I'm Lauren and she's Q. I'm kidding. I'm Q, she's Lauren.
Hello, we're today.
And today we just wanted to keep it pretty simple. This is still the initial stages, so we're getting to know each other, and we thought we'd just talk a little bit about our favorite entertainment. We're talking about movies, series, music, because I feel like it really does play a huge part in your identity these days. And it really helps you get to know the person that you're with and their interests and everything. And it's interesting because we don't always align on our favorites, but we can still chat and we can still have a mad chat about them. So yeah, I think we're probably going to start off with music today because I think it
seems like the easiest.
Yeah, I think it's the easiest, and I think the movies and series and everything will seg from there. But basically, we're gonna look at top threes and just general sort of how it impacts us and what we look for in a good song, a good movie, a good TV show. So first of all, I really struggled to come up with top threes for music because I feel like
I feel like with music, even movies, it's one of those things, like I think it's very situational.
Yes, that was my thing as well.
Like I have, like at the moment I'll have my go-to songs or movies that I go to, but a month ago those songs were completely different. So I think it's very situational.
True.
But I do think we have like classics that we revert back to every now and then.
Yeah.
We were like, this was such a banger, like when I was in high school, and I'll still blast the song whenever I hear it.
Yeah.
And also feel like music has a lot to do with your mood as well.
100%.
Like, I know when I'm listening to music, it depends on like what mood I'm in, because sometimes I want to listen to some real angsty stuff.
Oh yeah.
And other days I just want to belt out some show tunes from musicals, because that's how I do.
Yeah. And I think one of our worst things, I don't know, I think this is a trait that I have that's super negative in myself, is when I get a song in my flippin' head, I cannot stop that bad boy from playing over and over and over again. Have you ever sat in an exam and just, oh my god, it's the worst. Especially if it's a real stupid song too. Like I was working the other day, and you know that Fortnite song, that little 10-year-old voice?
Yes. I think ever since that came out,
the world has been different.
We are both on content. We are both on TikTok, so we relate. Like our general shared interest in memes and things is the same. So like that song is something we both were singing to each other for like a week straight, where we would just be like, Fortnite about to get down. So we the stupid songs that, like, for example, I know I've talked to you about the volleyball anime that I'm watching, or I've watched multiple times throughout this panorama that we are in, and they have school fan chants in the show.
Interesting.
And the one that always gets stuck in my head is the one from Date Tech, which is one of the schools, which is like, and there's like, go, let's go, that's it, go. And it just gets stuck in your head at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
but then they've also got, it's the worst. But then we've also got the stage play. They have like, I don't know how, but like animes have like stage plays as well. It's really interesting. But now you've got the music from those stage plays that are not in the show that also get stuck in your head.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh my god.
So now I've got 2 songs that get stuck in my head, which is basically on the same beat. So it's the Date Tech song, and my other favorite school's Nekoma. And it's like, Nekoma, Nekoma, Nekoma. That's just the whole song.
It's made to stick in your head. It literally
It's made to stick in your head. And it's interesting. And they pop up at the worst times. Like Mr. Fallout what? Mr. Fallout Boy as well, though. Like, I'll be chilling, and then all of a sudden, Fall Out Boy will pop in my head, and I'll be like, why am I singing? Thanks for the memory.
Where did this come from? I know, I relate. I mean, this is not music, but I think brains just work weirdly. Like, you can subconsciously choose to memorize and hold on to things. Like, I found my only remaining diary from when I was 11. Let's just say that was a wild ride in there, man.
Wasn't your like formative years just a wild ride in general? I mean, funny. I think everything from grade 4 to grade 7 is just
it's a oh my god,
crazy.
It's a flippin' roller coaster. Like it's just so funny, like the transitions within there, like the stuff that you care about that really shapes your existence. Definitely. And whatever. But for some reason there was like I don't know what company came to our school or whatever. It was like a sauce company. And yeah, I'm serious. They made like tomato sauce and stuff, but mostly mustards. And for some reason,
you sounded so happy saying mustard. Like, yes, enough of the tomato sauce. I want the mustard.
Mustard supremacy.
Okay.
That's a different
for another day.
We only have like an hour and a half here. There's so much content to cover. So for some reason, like they had a song, like a chant about all their different flavors. And
oh my goodness.
It's been over 10 years since I was that age, and I can still remember the 4 flavors.
No, you have to chant it for us now.
I'm not gonna chant it for you, but I know there's tangy tomato, there's awesome original, there's sweet and mild, and smooth and creamy, boy. That's
hilarious. I can't.
It's locked in there, even. But like the important stuff is just gone. But if I ever needed to know those 4 flavors in a survival scenario,
have them.
I have them locked, boy. Oh my god.
Hectic. No, I could not. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Chants are the things I think that get stuck in my head the most.
100%.
And then just like really catchy tunes that I think everyone knows.
And they're making them so much more catchier these days. I don't know what it is. Like, oh my god. Even music that I really don't like. Like, I cannot like a song and it just gets stuck in my head and I hate it. Oh my god.
In your head. I feel like when in like primary school, I don't want to say very against One Direction, but I wasn't the biggest fan of them. But they had bangers, and that was the problem. It was like, I really don't want to listen to them because this isn't like my typical like vibe. I didn't like, it wasn't my music that I enjoyed at the time.
When you were growing up, you're either very pro One Direction or your identity was like made around anti One Direction.
So, but like they had bangers, and I was like, damn it!
I did.
I can't get them out of my head. There's a sound on TikTok. It's like, I can't get it out of my head. It's like it's constantly playing on loop.
Oh god, and that's like
and that's what it was.
Yeah.
Especially with songs you hate.
Your brain is sabotaging you.
I'm not gonna bring up songs I hate.
Yeah, that's a different.
There's one song.
Yeah.
There's one song in particular that I remember. It came out when I was in varsity, and I wanted to throw things at whatever was playing this song because it was everywhere.
I relate.
One of the people I studied with would send me like memes with the song in, and she'd know I would hate it because I did. It was the worst. It still to this day makes me very, very angry. Violently.
I am gonna need to find out afterwards what the song is. So
I'm not gonna give people ammunition to send me this.
Yes.
Because
or open discourse as to why the song is good. Taste is subjective.
Yeah, no, let's not get into that.
Anyway.
But yeah, just going back to like how we were youngsters and how we've kind of progressed through our music taste. How do you what would you say is the difference between your vibes back then and now?
Well, I can tell you, when growing up as a kid, it was largely structured by like my parents' tastes. My dad liked a lot of reggae, and like just this white man.
Beautiful.
Just, yeah, man. And I think like Cat Stevens, and I did enjoy those. I don't know if I had a choice in it. Like I'm very interested in like what the whole nature versus nurture argument of like, do you actually enjoy it, or is it because of the situational aspect that you
because
begin
you just
to
grown
like
up with it,
you know? And my mom liked a lot of sort of 90s hip-hop, R&B kind of stuff, that still stuck with me. I really do appreciate hip-hop and rap. I think it's probably my favorite genre, but I would say there's no like real end to the taste. Like in high school, I went through a massive like emo angsty phase. I think it was so long that it couldn't even be considered a phase. It's just
it's just part of your being.
It's part of my being. I can't get rid of it. Like even now, those same songs still hit. And I don't know if it's the nostalgia or because they're just good. I did go through a phase this earlier this year where I was like actually purposefully going back to listen to some of those songs, and I was like, hell yeah, this is, I still remember all of the words, and this actually bangs, but I think it's definitely changed over the years. I think pop is probably like one of my lower favorite genres, but I do still really enjoy, like,
I feel like it depends on the type of pop music.
It does. It 100% does. I won't get into specifics because I don't want to offend anyone.
There's a lot. No, because like I feel like pop is a genre that kind of has subgenres within it.
100%. Yeah.
Because like pop, when you think of pop, you think of a tune that kind of gets stuck in your head. But there's so many different tunes in that category, I feel, that get stuck in your head. And it's like, it's different vibes and different like ideas, I guess, that the artists are wanting to, portray or whatever.
True.
So I feel like pop's just a very wide thing.
100%. I mean, like, you can look at, for instance, Michael Jackson was considered the king of pop, and his music is very different to like maybe a Justin Bieber or whatever, but they're both classed in the same category. So
exactly, very different.
Yeah. What about you though? I mean, how's your music taste developed?
I feel like I've gone on a journey with my music, honestly.
Tell us.
I feel like I've so obviously, you grow up with your parents' music, and that was very much Queen.
Oh yes.
The Beatles. Very much
about that?
Like old rock.
Yeah.
Like old rock. I'm trying to think what else, and then also Michael Bublé. my one of my sisters was like a big Bublé fan, and she had like most of his CDs, and it kind of just, I love jazz. I do like a good jazz.
You like jazz? Sorry, I couldn't help it.
You like jazz?
I couldn't help it.
Go with the B-movie meme there. But yeah, I do like jazz. But like I said, that was like my formative years. I keep saying that, but whatever. But yeah, when I was younger, I would listen to obviously what my parents were listening to, and as I got older, I kind of went into the realm, I think, of more like of rock. Like I went into that path.
Yeah.
And then obviously in primary school, that's kind of when Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus and
I love
One
Justin
Direction
Bieber when
kicked
he came
off.
out, like that. I think it was Baby. Oh my god.
I
could recite
his
that.
music.
I could recite that.
Anyway, Taylor Swift in the beginning, like immaculate.
Yes.
I listened to her quite a bit. Fall Out Boy was there. Very prominent in my youth. Classic. As well. I feel like anyone who has
ears,
some sort of like angsty phase might have like had a Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco. True. 21 Pilots. I started listening to, I think, in the beginning of high school, and then I kind of I just enjoy the music, and I feel like they have really good like messages and things like that.
They do.
But moving away from like the angsty side, obviously I had like my taste in pop music, but like nothing really specific.
Yeah.
Obviously Disney music. Grew up with Disney. Still listen. Like I will, if a Disney playlist comes on, I will belt those songs out. Not very well, but I will belt them out. And then also just like theater music. Wicked, Hamilton.
Nerd. No, I'm kidding.
Theater kid, bro. I'm trying to think what else. Like I have a lot of like varied music.
Yeah.
And then also
The best
as I kind of got older, you know, and then also just like I think at the end of high school I started becoming more interested in like K-pop and like
Yes.
okay, so this also comes from like watching anime, and they have banger OP songs. That's an opening song or ending song. Really good like openings, and they are like absolute bangers in there. So at the moment, so that kind of like obviously started this interest in kind of like other culture music. So I also like listening to Spanish music. I don't listen to it as much as I did like a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it was like it was a vibe. It was fun.
Got
But now
ourselves a
like I'm
cultured woman here.
no, I'm just like I think I like a lot of different things, but I think I do tend to more towards like I like K-pop, I like J-pop, Afrikaans music is my favorite.
I love a good captain.
I can't. Okay, but also in context, I grew up in a very Afrikaans community.
I understand.
And I think once you get older and past like high school, you're like, what are like these songs are not appropriate. These are not really good songs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I feel like at the moment I have a lot of, like I said, Japanese music, a lot of K-pop, still 21 Pilots, it's still in my playlist, but also covers from art, like from people who do like video game songs.
Ooh. That's
So like at the moment,
it's an epic
at the moment
genre.
I have like 3 Kingdom Hearts songs in my playlist that I've got on repeat at the moment. Yeah. Also, Mamma Mia. Any Mamma Mia song.
Oh my god. Okay, so that wasn't just me then. Like when I was a kid, my
like-
mom and I watched that movie. I think we actually went to the movies to watch it because she was a huge ABBA fan. If she grew up in this era, we would call her a stan probably. Like I remember being there along for the ride with her. I was like, hell yeah, we used to listen to every
doing
day.
it.
Give me a man after midnight, baby, you know. And that movie was amazing. And oh my god, yeah, that was a huge thing.
If
for
any
us
like
as well.
I feel like if Dancing Queen were to come on in like a restaurant, I would start singing and not be ashamed at how I sounded, just because like it's one of those songs that just gets you like grooving.
Yeah, and you know what I really like and enjoy these days is that I feel like this is not super pertinent to music maybe, but in general I feel like there's a lot less judgment about your tastes, and like there's no mainstream cool like taste. Like I remember like in
So,
the
like
early,
way back when, if you weren't a One Directioner, you were like shunned from society.
well, like in the early 2000s I feel like there was a lot of emphasis on like being one way or liking one thing, and now everyone's so different and everyone has their own aesthetics and vibes, and you know everyone can respect different cultures and, you know, interests and whatever, and sounds, and I really like that too, because I mean I have a friend, I'm not gonna mention his name, every time, like he's a cool guy, you know, he listens to rap and whatever, you know, hip-hop, but there's a moment where we'll be in Stones or, you know, somewhere hanging out, and he'll inevitably put on a Queen song.
Oh my
like in the jukebox, and all the people are like, who played this? And it's this dude, and I'm just like, respect my man, you like what you like,
I'm sorry, but if you
and I'm gonna
don't yeah, like I feel like Queen is one of those bands that when you play it, like if We Will Rock You comes on, you bet everyone's like, we will rock you, bro.
Yeah,
Like clapping, stamping their feet, like it's just one of those like anthems, I guess.
that's true.
Yeah, but it's music's wild.
It is.
Music's wild. Like I said, now, like I was just thinking back on what else I listen to, and like I have Celtic music I listen to. Like
that's amazing.
It's so like it's just very magical. And then I've got like these ones that if you play it, it sounds like you should be running down a dark corridor in a castle,
Yes.
running away from the people who are trying to kidnap you. very dramatic, dark. Like, what is it? It's a dark waltzes are very, very cool. I love a dark waltz like that.
I think you sent me once like one of those playlists. I love how they name these playlists as well on YouTube, and it's just like, it's very atmospheric, like you're in a castle, you know, after midnight, and you're running through the walls, and the guards are like asleep and whatever, and I'm like, damn, dude. Or like,
you're dancing with this. I think you and I actually had a conversation where I sent you one, and I was like, this is literally where you're at a ball and you meet this, like, it's a masked ball, obviously, you know, very gothic. You're in this, you're the protagonist, of course, and you're just like, here I am in my beautiful black ball gown with like lace, and I can see the dress in my head, and you're walking down the stairs, and this mysterious man offers you his hand, and you just, you know, and you start dancing, and then you find out like it's a vampire or something. You know, it's one of those, you know, really dark, YA-esque music.
I like that. I do enjoy that.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. I also like, I see a lot of those like songs to make you feel like you're the main character kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Badass songs you can work to.
Yeah, work.
Songs to make you feel like a villain is a playlist I listen to. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how I got you, but I'm vibing.
I'd rather be the villain than the hero in my own life, honestly. Like, the villains have more fun. But that's a debate for another time.
Yeah, we can debate about heroes versus villains. Yeah. Another genre I recently got into because of TikTok is Vocaloids. It's from, I think it's, I could be very wrong here, but I think it's mainly Japan that does it. Please don't at me if it is not just Japan, I'm sorry. But basically it's computer programs who sing music.
Oh.
So it's like no people at all. It's just like computer. And there's like one, Len, and he does, I've heard the song on repeat for the past like month. It's Ghost Rule. I can't remember who sang it originally, but there's this one part where they do a growl or like a really like, moment. And that growl, peak perfection, just beautiful. It just gets you and it's like, it's one of those. And I've listened to like different Vocaloids, and his is just the best. But yeah, it's interesting to see like how people are making music with computers. Yeah, like Siri is singing songs now.
That is wild. And
it's good. That's the thing. It's like, it's weirdly good, and it's weirdly like it's scratch. 8D music.
Oh yes.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
It's okay. So that is something wild.
Yeah.
That I've only, like, I don't want to say I've only just discovered it, but it's only like recently, the past 2 months, like it's the first time I've actively listened to it, and I'm like, my brain is being massaged by all these voices.
I understand.
It just sounds so
like
cool.
they're getting that like top right half of your brain. They're scratching it, and it feels good.
They are never making it feel part. Very satisfied.
Oh my gosh.
It's music's wild, dude. Like,
it is. I cannot place sometimes whether I'm listening or I like a song because I'm in a situation to enjoy it, or if it holds nostalgic. Like, for instance, I remember like during my angsty phase, like I remember, you know, I mean, that's like screamo kind of hardcore music, except I didn't really listen to the super hardcore stuff because I was a little baby. I remember, like, you know, there's a culture around that kind of music, and you know, all the kids would be like, oh my god, your music saved my life, whatever, you know, like, thank you for existing, whatever. And I'm like, man, I feel more depressed. Like, this is feeding my depression, but in a way that I enjoy.
I understand. Yeah, like I'm going back to 21 Pilots because I know their music pretty well, and like a lot of their stuff is pretty hectic because it talks about like anxiety and like depression and things, and like I just love the way they portray it. A lot of portray it, but like how they
do it really well.
Sing about it, and it's just really, but you do, like, sometimes to listen to 21 Pilots you have to be in a really certain mind space to 100%. Kind of be comfortable, or like
enjoy
so that
it
you're not
fully.
making yourself more depressed
Yeah.
or like
Yeah, it's not like a self-sabotage.
yeah. Yeah, but sometimes I mean you need to listen to angsty music when you're
Yeah.
angsty because that's like what you feel like.
It's almost like a validating experience, honestly.
Mm.
But yeah, I find
Like
myself...
I'm not gonna go listen to show tunes if I'm feeling sad.
No, 100%. I'm finding myself listening to a lot more like upbeat music. You know what's messed me up? TikTok.
TikTok is the worst.
TikTok is the like...
Says the one who scrolls through TikTok for like
Yeah.
5 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real.
Dude, there's so many admitted bangers on there. But the thing is, right, I'll listen to a segment that maybe like someone's doing a dance to, it's in the background while they're doing something cool, and I'm like, wow, the song sounds fire. Let me go and listen to it on YouTube, and it's just that segment is real cool,
Yeah.
and the rest is
the rest of the
absolute
song
trash.
is just the worst.
And it makes me so sad. Oh, but like I have discovered a lot more through TikTok than I'm willing to admit sometimes. Like Tame Impala, I've discovered through TikTok, and they're like, I don't know how to describe them. It's not a genre I'd usually listen to, but I find their music so like comforting, and like I want to take a long drive, you know, in the mountains and something, and just like put my head out the window
away.
and scream a little bit and have fun and, you know, be the main character for a bit.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And also like the resurgence of freaking female artists in the R&B hip hop. Like I love Doja Cat.
Doja
love
Cat's
her.
like a TikTok queen at this stage.
Literally. Maybe
Honestly.
second only to Nicki Minaj. I don't think Nicki Minaj can put out any sort of audio without it being used by TikTok for memes.
No.
It's amazing.
No.
But yeah, Doja and SZA, they are amazing. They are queens, and I worship them, honestly.
I mean, I found like a lot of independent artists on TikTok.
Yes.
There's a Briar, I think that's her name.
Yes.
Where she does
heard
that
of
lemon
her.
song, and I was like,
Yes.
oh, damn, real. And there's another one I started listening to. The name of the song is called Fairy Tales, and it's basically like, what if the bad guy wasn't the bad guy, and if that's the lyric, and it's really cool, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I find a lot of independent people on TikTok where I'm like, these are cool, let me go listen to them on YouTube, and now they're
Yeah.
part of my playlist on YouTube.
Honestly. Cool.
Yeah.
Corpse is an independent artist. I won't get into Corpse now, but
Yeah, let's not. You've been obsessed. With
I have. But he's kind of like sort of been part of the resurgence of like my old nostalgic high school music, and I really like that a lot. But anyway, I think you know, there's only so much we can say about music because it's so subjective and it's so situational.
Yeah.
I can't even pick a top 3 favorite songs list.
I
tried.
think I have like at the moment I could tell you what I'm listening to like the most.
Okay,
Like
give it to us.
let me open my my music on my phone
Yes.
and tell you what my playlist would consist of. It mustn't stop playing. Okay, so I've got KDA, which is a K-pop group that's not a K-pop group. Like they came out with League of Legends, as far as I recall. Like, people can correct me if I'm wrong. I know that they're associated with League of Legends.
That's dope.
So I don't play League of Legends, so I don't know what it's about. But yeah, so they're basically a K-pop group or people who sing as these avatars. So it's actual people singing. It's not like Vocaloids.
But they have like
but they've got some
kind of
bangers.
models.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've got some bangers. I've got Amelie, who covers a lot of like anime openings in English, which is pretty cool. Because sometimes, you know, an anime opening's a banger in Japanese and in English, and then you're just like, how? And then you're singing to both of them at the same time. I have Paradise from Fuji Fabric, which is the opening to Dr. Stone Season 2. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's really good. It's also a banger. And then Fairy Tales by Gabby Sophia. I've got Ricky Montgomery on here.
I thought you were gonna say Rick Astley.
Imagine you're just getting Rickrolled.
Imagine you press shuffle and you pray.
And then you just get Rickrolled. Honestly. I got it. And then I've got like Alistair's Game from the Living Tombstone, which is a guy. I'm not too sure about the Living Tombstone, but as far as I understand, they also do like songs based off of like games and shows and things. So this Alice's game is from Has Been Hotel. He's a character from Has Been Hotel. Really good show as well. Yeah, then there's All Eyes on Me from All 3-0, which is from Bendy and the Ink Machine, which is a game I've played.
Wait. What is that name again? Oh no, I'm thinking about 30H3. That's you. Do you remember them?
Yes. What isn't on the one?
If your boyfriend's got beef, then I'm a vegetarian. I'm fucking scared of it.
Didn't they do a song with Katy Perry as well?
I think so.
And then
my God, they were iconic though. Oh my God.
Make the boys go woohoo.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes, I remember.
I'm never gonna do that. That one.
Yes.
I think that's them.
Oh.
But yeah, so I have a lot of random stuff on my playlist, but a lot of it is Japanese game music, covers of game and anime music.
A wide variety.
Actually, a song that I will listen to and cry to every time it comes on is Dancing and Dreaming from the How to Train Your Dragon movie 2, where it's Stoic and his mom dancing and singing to each other, and they've just found each other, and I'm like,
that's cute.
And it's even worse after you watch the movie again, after you've watched it the first time, because obviously of what happens in the end, and you're just like, yeah. Smash Mouth, All Star.
I thought you were gonna say it on the list of songs that you cried to. Cause
no,
I just had
Smash Mouth All Star is also a banger.
Yes, it is. It's an undeniable banger. I just had a realization. I don't think I've cried to a lot of songs. But one of them, for some reason, I just remembered was a Taylor Swift song. And it was, I think it was for the Hunger Games that she had.
Oh no, but that gave me goosebumps. That did. It was the Safe and Sound.
Yes, I just have a vivid memory of me like under my covers playing
sobbing.
that on loop, sobbing at 17 or something for no reason. Like my life wasn't that bad, man.
No, it was a good song.
Yeah.
Though. Like I listened to that on repeat as well.
It was very good.
Like because it was just so
and
good.
I was a huge fan of the Hunger Games at the time.
Yeah.
I
feel like
not
all of
I'm
us
gonna say this. I was one of the first people to read those books, and I loved them. I was so excited.
Yeah, I read them after I think I saw the first movie. Because I was like, damn, why have I not like seen this? Like, why is this not on my list? Why is this one YA book not on my list?
It was the peak of like
because we all know
genre, like YA genre was. Oh my God,
the apocalypse YA triangle genre.
We should get into that at a later stage, perhaps.
Yeah. But speaking back on like songs from movies and shows, like they change, I think, how you view a movie or a show.
Definitely.
Like, for me, if an anime has a banger of an opening, you're just like, yeah, I'm into this anime. And then it also just adds like, okay.
Just make me have a realization.
So Yuri on Ice is an anime that I know a lot of people will probably know about. But that opening is so inspirational. And then when you watch the show, you're just like, oh my God, it's amazing. Oh. And you start crying because it's just so good.
Soundtracks are so important. Like the scoring of a movie or TV series. And I didn't become aware of it until later. We're both like, we both have mild. Okay, I have a mild film background. You have
I have a full background.
But I only really became aware of that later. And I think one of the, funnily enough, these are also two of my favorite series because I just I'm gonna talk about another. Euphoria and Stranger Things, I think both have amazing scoring.
I haven't watched Euphoria, but I have watched Stranger Things, and Stranger Things is whole like so good. It's so iconic as well because you hear it and you're like Stranger Things. You know. That's one thing I love doing is guessing theme songs to shows. Or like
that's a fun podcast for later.
No. But yeah, I love I don't know, like when it comes to like openings and like
very important
songs from movies, I feel like like Safe and Sound example, for example, from the Hunger Games. Like, you hear it and you can hear like I haven't listened to it in ages.
Same.
But it's such
just came into my mind.
it just makes you so, it gave me goosebumps, and it makes me feel very like, I want to say angsty, but like very, it's kind of hopeful in a very weird, dark way. You know, in a weird way.
It's a very vulnerable song.
Yeah. Also, since we're on movies and soundtracks for movies, the Treasure Planet, I'm Still Here, is an absolute
If you say
banger. It's a banger. It's a vibe. It's everything. It's really good. And every time I listen to it, even not in the movie, like I have it on a playlist in my on my YouTube playlist. It's there. It'll pop up somewhere during the week. And it's just so good, and it makes me feel all these things, and I'm just like, But I mean, Treasure Planet as a whole was just a fantastic movie and very underrated.
Yeah. I have no opinion on that because I've never watched it.
You should go watch it. Movie recommendation. Go watch
I
Treasure
have
Planet.
such a long list of recommendations from you that I haven't touched yet. And there's a part of my brain that feels guilty and sad because I'm too busy consuming crap to go and watch.
So just on that, what you say you consume crap, but what entertainment would you consider not crap?
Okay.
If I could. Or like what in a movie or a series?
Look,
expose yourself.
We're
all vulnerable here.
What I will say is I do find myself lately. I think it happened during lockdown last year when I made the switch from watching actual media, like actual series and movies and stuff, to YouTube. And like TikToks and stuff. Mostly YouTube, because I got into the whole, streamer gaming community, and I was like, wow, these guys are
let's just be honest with the streamers and like the YouTubers. They kept everyone sane, I think, for the biggest part of last year during this whole pepperoni, I will die on that hill. It's the best. I hate saying pandemic and
you said it. Drink. I'm kidding. I'm so grateful to those people because they provided me with some like a kind of content that I hadn't yet experienced, which is like real person content. They're just going about their daily lives, just being real funny and interesting and entertaining, and it's just something that I appreciated a lot. And now this is what I think it is. I think it's because it is real people with their real feelings and their real personalities and whatever, and I think that's kind of
relatable,
and very relatable. And I think that's probably why people get really into like those reality shows like Kardashians and stuff. Okay, that's a bad example because they're not that's not like real life
reality TV. But yeah, I totally get it. Like I said, I think for a while, because everyone was kind of stuck, these YouTubers were just doing their things, and they were having to get creative with like, okay, so for the most of last year, Unis Arnis was alive.
Unis Arnis.
I loved that. It's fine. But I think Mark and Ethan did something fantastic with that channel.
They did.
I cried when it did end. I'm not gonna lie, it was very sad and very emotional, and I sat in my bed I think it was on a Saturday morning after a 10-hour live stream, which I probably slept through like most of it. And to see them like delete their whole channel was something so crazy, and it was in the middle, like I think it was like, I'm trying to think, it was like end of last year where they chopped
in the middle of the Panasonic.
When they deleted.
I said Panasonic.
Panasonic, it's fine. But I mean, they started in 2019, and I think it was like the end of November, beginning December. So I think they ended in October last year. And I'm not gonna lie, if I hadn't had an Unis Arnis to look forward to every evening, I think I would have gone a bit more crazy than I did. I feel like a lot of people got through the most of this, I'm gonna just say the normal word, but pandemic, due to like people like that who are posting on a regular basis, and it is something people could look forward to. And I think when it comes back to like typical content, like movies and series, I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch a lot of like live action movies and series anymore, just because I find it very
unexpected.
Oh no, what? We didn't see this coming. Just because I personally don't. I feel like I can imagine myself in like animated worlds better than I can in real life, because it seems it's still a bit too real, if that makes sense. Like, okay, I'm trying to think the last show I actually. Okay, no, I lie. I watched The Mandalorian, but that's Star Wars.
That is fantasy.
And it's not like exactly. It's not like like.
I think I know what you're getting at, because in a sense,
it's a better escapism.
Yes, in a sense, I don't love watching. My boyfriend will make fun of me endlessly for this, because he said he doesn't say I don't have good taste, but he says I have a very particular taste. I don't like watching like dramas based on true stories or
I hate
whatever. I'm like, I'm not trying to feel extra depressed in my real life, you know. I watch stuff to escape from reality, you know. It's a distraction, and because of that, I love when it's, you know, got fantasy elements, or it's, you know, not super based on this real world life that we live in, you know. Or even if it is, if it's just a side that I don't see, you know, or that I don't deal with, because that's another form of, you know, something different that I don't deal with.
Like, I can watch live action stuff, I just need to be in the right, like, I need to be motivated to watch it, if that makes sense. Like, but there are a few exceptions to this, because I will watch The Mummy religiously. I love The Mummy. It's one of my favorite movies. I love The Mummy. But like, I'm not out here looking, okay, what new Netflix show is out?
Why do I feel like you just shaded like majority of humanity? No, I'm kidding.
Okay, but to be fair, Netflix's content for me personally, I just haven't been able to relate to at all. Like, they've just been rebooting a lot of shows that I grew up with, and it's so depressing. And it makes, like, what is the point of all these angsty shows? And movies? Like, can we stop?
Can we make something good? Like, I understand, like, they're rebooting everything, and it's also not just Netflix, it's like Hollywood and the industry in general, because I understand. Look, I know, because we know the story, you know, and everything, it's bound to get us interested, because we want to see what the modern take on it is or whatever. But you know what I really hunger for, what really satisfies me, is new content, new stories that I've never seen or whatever. And
so here's you see, this is why I drift more towards animation. Like, not just anime, like animation in general, because Cartoon Network's cancelling a show now that I watched. It's called Infinity Train. It's really good. It's like, it deals with a lot of like issues and things, and it's something new, because it's basically about these people who get swept up in this infinity train who has like endless cars.
Ew,
and they go through like it's very, but like each car is like a different world. It's very cool, but like I'm explaining it very badly because I haven't watched it in a while. But like I've only watched the first season. I've been meaning to watch the other 4. I think there's 4 out. And she's going through like kind of an identity crisis. She doesn't know who she is and whatnot, and she goes through this train, and she kind of figures out that she's like the strong, independent woman. I'm very sorry if I'm butchering the plot, the show, because it's been a while. But essentially she kind of comes out stronger, and she kind of realizes who she is, and it was really cool to watch, because she's dealing with all these big feelings and she doesn't know how to deal with it, and it was just really cool to see. But even like Steven Universe was a fantastic show as well. Was it Steven Universe? Yes, it was Steven Universe. Why did I think it had a different name? But like the last season of it was so well done, because I'm gonna spoil it for anyone who's not seen the last season. So Steven's kind of grown up now. There's a lot of stuff that's happened with the diamonds and whatnot, and he's used to being like the person who takes care of everyone, who solves everyone's problems. But now everyone's problems are kind of solved, and they're solving problems for themselves, and he doesn't know what to do with that. Like, he gets really angry.
It's kind of sad.
And very it
Oh,
is
God.
And like, you go through this whole progression with him, and you can kind of relate to it a lot more than I feel like someone live. Like, I don't know, like animation, I just feel like has a broader connecting factor for me personally.
Yeah.
I just feel like I can
And a
relate to it.
bigger realm of possibility as well.
Mm.
There's just so much more options and possibility with animation that you couldn't even consider in real life. And yeah, CGI and stuff is getting much better. I mean, we have a Godzilla versus Kong movie, which I will probably watch, if I'm honest with you, because big dinosaur fight big monkey, you know, and big dinosaur
Ticks all the boxes.
make big explosion from mouth, and big monkey catches big explosion and he eats it back at big dinosaur. What's not to like? But yeah, I still feel like series animation specifically can deal with real life issues in such a delicate and beautiful way. Like, I look at Avatar: The Last Airbender.
We were going to talk about this at some point.
One of my favorites, top series for me. Number one, will never be dethroned, right? And I mean, they're all kids, and it starts off very much like, you know, this innocent, cartoony, you know.
Yeah,
thing.
so that's a very soft,
And it gets
like very innocent.
Yes, and it does deal with such dark themes over the course. I mean, they're kids, and they're dealing with war and, you know, genocide and stuff like that. And it's dealt with
And Aang
so
has to make
well.
such big decisions.
Yes, and I mean, like, I don't think a live action could ever touch on the way they dealt with these things, and you know, the beautiful storylines and arcs. Like, if you give me a quote, you know, a motivational quote from anywhere, any movie, whatever, I'm probably gonna be like, thanks. If you give me a quote from Uncle Iroh, I will probably start sobbing. I literally have made a quote from Uncle Iroh in my notes app on my phone. That is how much his
Uncle
words
Iroh
resonate with me.
has the best advice in any of the shows I think I've watched. Like, he is just like he I feel like what makes him really amazing is he understands the good and the bad of the world. And he can, like with Zuko, like his whole metamorphosis phase that he went through, he was like, you know what, you've got all these really big things going on, and you're like literally questioning your identity as a person, because your whole being's been revolved around restoring your honor, but like, you can restore your own honor. And I was like, holy shit, that is profound. And
So profound.
The craziest
No one
thing
can
I've
give
ever
that
heard.
to you. Self-respect, self-love.
Exactly.
And if a movie ever tried to preach self-respect, self-love to me, I would hate it. It's just so clumsy, like, because they rely so heavily on all these tropes, and like, you know, it's always the same dialogue recycled or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so for anyone who watches rom-coms,
Sorry.
like, I do enjoy a rom-com, I'm not gonna lie.
I do not judge enjoyers of rom-coms.
Yeah.
I understand.
But it's not like I'm gonna go out and watch it every evening. It's like, I need to be in the mood for a good rom-com, you know, like 27 Dresses, I love that movie, but I need to be in the mood to watch it. But they have very specific tropes and conventions that they go with, and it gets boring. But then I move over to, K-dramas is something I will watch. I love a good K-drama, I'm not gonna lie, because they just have, like, yes, they have their own genre conventions and tropes and things, but they do it in such a way that makes it more interesting than normal westernized media, I guess.
Because it's not predictable. That's also what gets you about.
Okay, it's predictable, but in a weird way.
Okay.
Like there's some of these shows where they take a very long, like, you know, the two main characters are going to end up together, but the way they get there is very different from the normal westernized rom-coms. So
I hate the
For
falling out
example-
period in the Western rom-coms because it's always something that can be easily avoided through good,
Honestly.
healthy communication.
exactly, it's like, oh, I saw you with this man, I'm gonna jump to conclusions and be angry with you, and
Literally.
then this person's gonna be like, why aren't you speaking
That
to me?
dude's
It's like,
my
I saw you
brother.
with this other guy. Exactly. Whereas like I find in K-dramas, when they do have a conflict like that, where not like with a misunderstanding, but the conflict is usually something different. It's like with Gangnam, my ID is Gangnam Beauty. It's about a girl who gets plastic surgery because Korea is very
Yes.
well known for like plastic surgery, but she gets plastic surgery because she was very, I don't want to say very ugly and like when she was younger,
Yeah.
but she wanted to fit in and
Yeah.
not be afraid of who she was, which respect. You
Your
want to
body
feel
do
comfortable
what
in
you
your
want.
skin.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the biggest thing was like she was learning to deal with like the harassment around being kind of seen by people and not being like judged for the way, or being judged in a different way to how she looked. And I found that very interesting. And like the conflict that arose was like, are you dating me because I'm pretty now? Like because this boy was with her in like primary school and he knew what she looked like before the plastic surgery, and she was like, you only like me now because I've changed. And he's like, no, like that's not the case at all. And there's obviously a whole bunch of other factors, and K-dramas can get very dramatic, and it's the best thing. I love it. The drama's the best. But it's not the predictable, like, there's going to be a miscommunication or something that's going to happen, and then you're like,
And then at the end of the
oh
movie,
no, they're going to have a falling
and
out.
at the end of the movie, they're just gonna have big realization, and they're gonna run to each other and like
In the airport.
yes, like Grand Central
Because this
Station.
person's got her dream job now.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, I think that's a huge part of why I guess I don't enjoy movies particularly. This is a weird controversial thing, but I don't like watching movies. I feel like they're too short. I really like to get invested and committed into something because like if I'm gonna give into this fictional world and start investing in the characters, which you have to do to like a movie, I'm not gonna stop. I'm now invested.
Exactly.
Give me more than just 1.5 hours, or 2.5 hours. I want to see more of this world, and that's why I really like series, because it is that expansion, and it does give you more time in but also,
and I feel like with series these days, it's become like an episode these days, where when I was growing up, it was like 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, whereas now it's like hour-long episodes,
which I love.
No, I mean, no hate to it, but it does, like, okay, I feel like it helps if the series is good. Like, if I'm hanging on each word and like I need to know what's happening, but I haven't found that in a lot of like shows I've been watching, in terms of like the regular like Netflix shows or whatever's popular on TV at the moment. Like it bores me. Like I can't get into it unless it's something like really good.
And I feel like with movies, just because they don't have the luxury of time, that obviously now this plot has to fit into a specific time period. The characters maybe aren't as fully developed as you would want them to be, because they have to fit into this specific time limit. And that's what really gets me at the end of the day, I think, is because you can see, like, if this was a series, I would enjoy it more, because I can now spend time with a character. It's not just like the superficial layer of their personality that I'm seeing or whatever. Like, they delve deeper.
I'm gonna tell you a story though. So my sister and I started watching a new anime. It's called To Your Eternity. It started coming out like last week. There's 2 episodes out. We watched the first episode. Both of us were bawling by the end of this first episode. We'd met 2 characters. The one, I don't know, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but something happened to the one, and it's very weird, but it was really sad. It was very sad, and like we were crying, like we were slow with tears, and I was like, this is sad, dude. That's one episode. That's like a 20-minute episode. Maybe 30 minutes. I don't remember. But it was And I was hooked on the story. And I was crying about a character that I'd known for 20 minutes.
That's what I want. I want to feel that investment in that care.
Like, obviously, like, okay, with Haikyuu now. Like, this is one of my favorite shows. Like, my sister got me into it, and I love it. It's so good. It's an underdog story, but it's just really wholesome. And the problem is you end up rooting for all the teams in the end.
Yeah.
But you know that the one team's obviously, that's their journey and whatnot. But it's so wholesome and just really, like, so I read the manga as well, which also doesn't help. But, there's like certain songs that play and I get emotional immediately. I can make my sister cry with like 3 words. Because she'll be like, why would you do it? Like, and I'm like, no, like, I know how invested you are in this show now. And it's really, like, it's just so good. If you haven't watched Haikyuu, go watch Haikyuu. And like the last season that came out, like at the end of last year, we were both crying at this one point because it was Hinata saving the ball, and he hasn't been able to receive a ball since he started because he's the underdog. And it was just this moment where he was like, I've got this, I'm supporting my team like I know I can. And it was just so emotional, and I was more invested in an imaginary volleyball player than I've ever been in any sport in my life. Like, I can't. How to Train Your Dragon. I'm overly invested in those characters.
I know what you mean.
Cried in the second movie. Cried in the third movie. Cried in the first movie where Hiccup, everyone thought Hiccup was dead. Cried. Bawling. Went to go watch Demon Slayer in theaters. Cried through that movie.
Walked out a whole different person. I miss that feeling of like when you go into the movies and you obviously sit in a dark place for like 2 hours and you come out and the world's just different. Light, full of possibility. I miss that feeling.
Yeah.
I think I haven't gotten that feeling since I was like a kid. It was a good one.
And I think the only like live action movies that make me cry are with dogs.
Oh god, okay. If a dog dies in a movie, I'm immediately out. I'm done with the movie because you're now using an animal to, motivate the storyline, and I'm not here for it. Okay, no. There's a website called doesthedogdie.com. I have visited it religiously. It saved me once.
Oh no, because I remember watching 8 Below for the first time.
That sounds familiar.
And it's about huskies in is it the Arctic Circle, I think?
Yes, I think I actually watched that.
They have to leave. It's about this geologist man who came because a meteorite hit in the middle of the Arctic Circle, and they went to go retrieve it. Shit went down, and they both the sled driver person, I don't know,
coordinator,
and this and the doctor were like hypothermic when they got back to the base, and they had to leave because in the winter months they go back home and like come back in the summer months, and they had to leave the dogs there.
Doggies.
And it's like this whole like how the dogs kind of survive, and it's like real hectic, and it's just like real sad.
The stamina to watch that's.
But it was such a good movie as well. Like I can't fault it.
Yeah.
Like it was a really good movie, and I've cried during that movie.
I have something. We've been talking about movies and just the sort of lacking that live action movies have, whatever. Like there's something missing that obviously we prefer live action. I mean, animation or whatever. But I think for me, what makes a good movie is I want to be surprised, and I want to kind of leave feeling a little bit unsettled. I've realized this about myself. Like, I think my favorite genre at the moment is definitely horror. Like horror, thriller. I know you can't deal with that. I think because look, it's definitely changed over the years. Like I look at when I was a kid and I watched like The Ring or The Grudge or one of those things. Daddy messed me up with that. I'm kidding. I so badly wanted to watch it, and I had such bad nightmares for like weeks afterwards. but it
Yeah,
was dad
I
time and I
hate
enjoyed it. And now, and then like usually back in the day, like, you know, there's like predictable, you know, things like, oh, this girl's gonna die because her and the dude are hooking up in the tent or whatever,
Obviously.
you know, and blah 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 blah. But now I think there's so much more just better storytelling. Like there's so many horror movies that I've watched in the past few years that have really just like shook me heavily to my core. Some of those are Hereditary. Very good.
I know people have said that that's
It's so
real
good.
messed
like
up.
Larian, it's okay. It's not even scary. It's just like it gives you this is also what gets me is when I watch something, right? I don't know if it's the anxiety or if it's just me as a person, but I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm in it. I feel like I remember watching this is embarrassing. I remember watching Gravity with my boyfriend and his parents, right? The one with Sandra Bullock in space.
Yeah.
And you know, in space, when there's no like, once you have momentum, right, that momentum continues, like, because there's no stopping force unless you like, you know, land against like an asteroid or whatever, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a physics person.
We're not scientists.
You know,
we don't do this.
there was a point in which she, like, they got thrown from a ship, I don't know, whatever the thing is, you know, and you know, you think you just keep floating through space, and they do, but because they had a certain momentum, right, they kept spinning feet overhead, feet overhead, feet overhead, again and again, right, in this constant circle, and I felt nauseous. I felt nauseous and anxious, and like I was like,
just hearing
that.
Leave.
I don't want to watch this anymore. I feel scared. I wanted to stop because I was just picturing myself in that, you know.
Horrible.
I was like, I hate this. Yes,
like a tumble dryer.
So I really like movies that can put me in that, you know, position of feeling like I'm in there. There's also like, there's Hereditary. There's this movie on Netflix. Don't watch it if you're a sensitive person like me. It's called The Platform.
That sigh tells me everything.
It's a foreign film. It's, I think, Spanish. And I've also gotten into like Spanish series and whatever. Netflix has really great Spanish content. It's a horror movie, and the concept is that they're all in this prison, right? The prison is like,
you told me about it's the one with the floors,
platform,
right?
Yeah, the thing that goes up and down. Yeah. There's like, no one knows how many floors there are, how many levels there are, but there's a big, like, they're all in like a, like, say 4x4 concrete block, and then the only features to the block is that there's 2 beds, maybe a bathroom feature, you know, and there's a giant hole in the middle at the bottom of the floor and the ceiling. And every day a platform descends with food. It starts at the top level and then goes all the way down to level like 480 whatever, no one knows. And obviously each month the prisoners on different levels switch levels. They get knocked out and then they get put on a different level. So maybe one day you're on level 7, you're living great, because remember, the platform descends, right, with a specific amount of food once a day. At level 7 you're living great. You're getting your pick of whatever's on that table, you know, you're stuffing it in your face as fast as you can because there's limited time. By the time that platform gets to level 200, it's absolutely fuckle. Like, and it's so, you can imagine just, I don't want to get into it because that movie messed me up, man.
I can imagine. It's very much like Snowpiercer. I don't know if you've seen that. So it's a movie which they've also made into a series. I don't know why. But it's about a train that basically, I think it circles the globe if I remember correctly. Yes. And each car is like a different social class. So like the tail end of the car is like the really low people, no value to society-esque type people. And they get like these jelly bars that are like disgusting looking, and that's what they eat. And then they go to the next car, which is like I think it was a teaching car where all the kids and like the teachers and things. So now the whole thing is that these 2 was it 2 people? I think it was 2 people start progressing through this car because they're sick of like how they've been living. And they kind of like see how all these other train cars have been living while they've been living like rats. And in the beginning, I think they each bought, like, everyone bought a ticket. And there were different like tickets for different cars. So
why would you,
depending on how wealthy you were at the time.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, because it was like an apocalyptic event and everyone was wiped out except these people on this train.
Oh, Christ.
So if you bought a ticket, depending on like what ticket you bought, depended on what car you were in. So it's just one of those weird, and that was a very unsettling movie because at the end, I think he becomes the engineer, or the engineer's like, hey, join me, we can do this
I would
together,
like to watch
you'll
that
never have to
movie.
suffer again.
Yeah, I think
It's really good.
Yeah.
Chris Evans is in it.
even more reason. I think anything to do with social commentary and the way society works in a thriller or horror or whatever, it's gonna mess me up. And I'm gonna leave there feeling, unsettled. But that's the thing. I want to feel unsettled. I want to be uncomfortable. I want to feel like, oh God, I need to rethink some things. That's the only way I can enjoy. And I think my boyfriend really hates it because we just. I pick the movies.
You just want to have a fun movie.
I have a very specific taste, and it always ends up being this thing of, cool, I've made so much hype around this movie. Like Midsommar was one of the movies that I picked because I just heard fantastic things about it from everyone I spoke to. Horror movie with everything flipped. It's a cult. She goes in, but this woman really messed up relationship with a boyfriend, and he just originally meant to go on this like fun Swedish trip with his friends, but his girlfriend's like whole family died and she's in a really rough place, and they didn't tell her. He's a bit of a dick, and she ends up going with him, and it ends up being a cult situation. But
Love a good cult story.
The whole thing is that in this part, I think it's Sweden, the sun doesn't set. It's daytime all the time. There's maybe a little bit of lull, but it's so bright all the time, so it relies on none of those normal horror movie tropes with like jump scares and whatever, like lurking things. And the whole thing is that it's just this slowly sinking feeling as you watch this girl navigate these situations, where things get slowly and steadily more messed up. And I'm here for that, but at the same time I always leave these movies feeling upset.
But you put yourself
there's no
in
like
these
finality. But I do put myself in these situations. I'm a masochist.
You see, with me, I don't mind feeling unsettled, but I need to be in the mind space to do it.
Yes,
it's not something I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go watch this unsettling movie that everyone's recommending me.
I'm gonna go torture myself real quick. Whoop.
I think when I do watch movies, it's something that I know you and I spoke about this, but I tend to go back to the same content, same movies and things like that. I will cry at the same time every time I watch the same movie. But I do, I'll watch something new if it's something that really piques my interest. But it's usually, like I said, I don't watch live action that much anymore unless it's something that I grew up with. I will watch The Grinch, or I love The Grinch, the original, the old with Jim Carrey. The Mummy, the first 2 Mummy movies, I love those movies. I will watch them all the time. The Princess Bride is a classic. I love that movie. I love it. It's fantastic.
It's literally quantified as a classic.
It is fantastic. And then I'll watch a superhero movie every now and then. But I'm not oh my gosh, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, need to know everything that's going on. I'm a casual Marvel watcher. And people are probably gonna come for me, but I don't care. Let me enjoy the things I enjoy.
You could be a casual liker of things.
Oh, but there's a lot of gatekeeping around.
Oh, 100%.
Things, especially nerdy things, I guess. I know with anime, there's a lot of gatekeeping with certain shows, and it's just very annoying. But we can get into that later. But yeah, like I was saying, I watch a lot of animation. I love animation. Also, anime has the best animation. Jujutsu Kaisen is a show that came out was at the end of last year, mid last year, but anyway, it came out last year. It recently finished. The animation, they made a bubble. They had a bubble in the intro, pop, in slow motion. They animated a bubble popping in slow motion. It was so well done. I was freaking out about a bubble. Like the animation, in general has gotten so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I speak mainly for anime because anime really pulls out the stops when it comes to animation sometimes. Fight scenes in Jujutsu Kaisen from Mappa Studios. Where? How? Then you get another show where they're like, I'm not gonna show the fight scenes because we can't animate like normal animation. Like, you have Mappa making these fight scenes look amazing and you are too lazy to like animate this. No, man. Like, obviously it's probably also the genre, but I'm not gonna get into that. But like, animation is just something that I really appreciate. I think a lot more than conventional filmmaking. Like, I mean, I was in film, so I know what it takes to make a show and a movie. But there's just something about animation that just makes me really happy. It's so phenomenal. I love animation. It's beautiful. And
Same.
I can't even like explain to you how happy animation makes me. And this is something that I found as well with shows, like TV shows. Why is Netflix remaking all these live action shows when you could animate like books, for example? I love a good book. I do love my books. I will read whatever I can get my grubby little mitts on that interests me. But then you get something like the Percy Jackson movies that I honestly feel like if they had animated it
would have been so amazing.
So good. Because you can do a lot more with animation than you can with like live action budgets and things. And I feel like Percy Jackson would have been fantastic as a show. But an animated show.
It would have been so much better. I think that's in the works though, if I'm not mistaken. I've read some talk about that.
I know Rick Riordan is doing something, but I can't remember.
Yeah. And let's not even get started on the whole like Avatar live action thing.
Yeah.
Because that's just another can of worms. But
yeah, so when it comes to like shows and TV, I watch things that I feel like you like to watch things that unsettle you. I like to watch things that kind of give me hope in a way, or make me kind of romanticize my life a bit more. Because we're all living quite, I don't say dull lives, but I mean life can get quite tedious and mundane and like very repetitive, and I feel like watching some of these like a Ghibli movie, Studio Ghibli, people are gonna say it's Ghibli, but
just wholesome.
People are gonna say it's Ghibli, but I think it's Ghibli. It makes more sense in my brain
too. It's like the GIF.
Even though the
creator of the GIF or the word or whatever says it's GIF.
No, man.
No, I don't know.
I will die on that hill. It's a GIF.
Same.
Anyway, but like Studio Ghibli movies really make me happy. Like I've watched Howl's Moving Castle so many times. I've watched A Whisper of the Heart so many times. I've watched From Up on Poppy Hill so many times. Because it makes me feel very, like, I don't want to say content in, like, where I am, but it makes me feel very at peace with, like, life. And I think, especially now in these kind of times, especially as adults, like, adulting's hard. You don't always know what your life's going to end up as. And it kind of just gives you that hope for, like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, I do get that.
And I feel like as an anxious person as well, I tend to go back to the things I know because I know how it's going to end. And sometimes I really hate not knowing the ending of something. So I have a lot of comfort watching that I do. And it's usually
I do that. I do that too. Look, I will say the whole unsettling thing. It does have to be a very specific time and a very specific mood. Otherwise, I'm all about comfort. We lead super busy lives, and I feel like life at the moment isn't very fulfilling for obvious
No.
reasons, you know. So something gravitating towards something that, you know, I know isn't gonna like let me down because I've seen it, you know, I've loved it, I've watched it, I've spent time with it, and I love the characters and whatever. That is very comforting to me, and
gives you that
I
serotonin
feel
that
the
you need.
exact same way. Yeah, it is. It does. And I feel like, yeah, just especially those, you know what I love is just series with absolutely no continuity. Like, it's probably bad, but just like if you, for instance, like I'm not a huge fan of Friends, but like a Friends or like a New Girl or whatever, you know, where, you know, they'll have their daily shenanigans for the episode. But nothing serious or whatever carries over into the next one, and that gives me just like a sense of comfort. Like there's no permanent consequences for the actions within these episodes, and I love that.
No, you get that. It's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I enjoy Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, yes.
And they like, it does have its shenanigans because it's a comedy, obviously, but there are times where I do appreciate where they do put in those serious moments. So I totally understand. I do prefer comfort things. Like, I mean, I've watched, okay, to be quite honest, some of the things I have watched have been real messed up. Like, if anyone's watched The Promised Neverland, that's unsettling in itself as well. Because I'm not gonna go into that because that's something else. Attack on Titan as well. A lot of people, I haven't watched a lot of Attack on Titan, but the people like my sister's watched the anime and she's read the manga and she's like, things get really, really hectic. So yeah, it's interesting to see how different things can be. But yeah, I do enjoy more comfort stuff. But I mean, I've watched like Akame ga Kill is an anime that I watched ages ago, and it was messed up, dude. Like, it was heckin'. There was gore, blood. The story was insane because it was about corruption and things like that. It was hectic, and I was like, damn, I did not expect this when I started watching this. But I enjoyed it because it was really good. It was a really good show for me. But like a lot of these, I do tend to watch more like I like an angsty thing. I'm not gonna lie, I do like an angsty show, but I don't like it to be angsty in a way that makes you feel depressed afterwards. Like, I want to, like, sometimes, you know, when you feel anxious or angsty, you want to read or watch something that has those similar emotions, and that kind of helps you through that, like, those feelings. And I appreciate that in some shows. Like, I
100%.
typically yeah and I comfort watch a lot. I will go back, like I said, I've watched the Studio Ghibli movies so many times because it's something that really brings me happiness and just comfort, especially in times where you are anxious or feeling a bit,
or maybe the world
iffy,
is just
a bit shit that day. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I've watched Haikyuu how many times now throughout this year. First I watched it with my sister, and then we watched it with our like family because we were like, it's a fun anime to watch with the parents. So we watched it with them, and now we're like rewatching it again because they're busy knitting stuff, so they started watching it again, and I'm like, okay, I'll catch up on that. Another show that I will watch again and again, like yearly, is Full Metal Alchemist. It's such a good show. Like, I watched it this year. I watched it last year, I think. I haven't watched it this year yet, but I watched it last year with my family, and it was like, so good. Assassination Classroom, so good, but also a tearjerker at the end. I cried. Me and my sister watched it together, and we cried at the end of that show. It was so good, and it was just because of the relationships that the characters had built with one another, and how you could relate to that class of kids trying to kill their teacher. And I think, like, with live action, you don't get that, especially with the new, like, I want to say young adult shows that have been coming out, especially from Netflix's side. Like, it's very angsty. Like, it's insanely angsty and very, very, like, there's so much sexual tension in these things, and I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. I just want to watch a show.
I want to watch two 17-year-olds almost kiss 3 million times.
But then the one hates the other one, and I'm like, no, can we not? But I do like like Sabrina. I did enjoy it, but then it became this weird thing with now Sabrina's like the queen of hell, and I'm just like, okay, what's gonna happen in the next season? I haven't watched the next season yet, just because I can't. It's so dark and angsty. I'm like, do teenagers even watch this? You know, like, do teenagers enjoy watching angsty?
Yes, they do, apparently.
Like, it's like, I can't. Like, I mean, I know I was a teenager and I did not enjoy angsty, dark things that talk about the same thing over and over again with the love triangle, and this one's an ex and that one's trying to get in this one's pants, and it's just like, I just want original content.
No,
So
I understand.
yeah, it's crazy.
In conclusion, movies are disappointing, series are disappointing. All we want to do is watch cartoons.
Honest, but I also feel like cartoons these days are just so much better at like we were talking about. It expresses a lot more than movies do, I guess.
That's very true. Yeah.
Like Adventure Time. It was just a fun little show, and now we're dealing with like existential crisis.
That's true. Yeah. And I mean,
So it's
what's
it's
that show that
crazy,
you put
dude.
me on to as well? Oh, Gravity Falls. Oh, so good.
Oh, Gravity Falls was so good. So good. There again. Yeah, so TV shows, movies, music, they all make us feel things, which I appreciate.
Yeah. I can't imagine how people lived like maybe before the 60s or whatever, when there just like wasn't anything to do but maybe listen to
The radio.
like some dude on the radio tell a horror story like, you know, once a week, or like read some, I don't know, Jane Eyre or something. No shade
But funny
to
enough,
like
I
Emily
actually read
Dickinson or whatever.
something. I read something the other day where people were like, how did the people who are churning butter for 3 hours like not do it without a podcast or like music? And this person was like, well, they used to like they used to gather together, and like when the people were churning butter, some would come and like tell stories. So they had a podcast for themselves.
Earlier forms of entertainment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's how our entertainment.
I forgot
just-
about like social gatherings and stuff,
Exactly.
hey?
I mean, that's what we do
Totally
as
forgot
people.
that was a
If-
thing.
If we're not like doing something with our brains, or if we're like doing something that takes minimal effort, I guess, or concentration, we end up like listening to something, or watching something to kind of just, I don't want to say distract us, but to keep us entertained. And I mean, people were doing that for thousands of years by just telling stories to one another, which is pretty whack.
I don't know. I'm quite a fan of like the old folktale around the campfire kind of
definitely.
thing. But let's just say, you know, it definitely isn't for every night of the week.
No. Like, I mean, can you imagine?
I'm very, very glad and thankful to be living in the era that we do live in. Where
we can get access to so many different things now.
Yes, and I can totally distract myself and veg out and just like not be a part of this world for a few hours, because that's what I need. This is what comforts me, and that's nice.
Yeah, no, definitely it does.
That's
Hectic.
That's pretty much it. I mean, music, movies, entertainment in general is just one big distraction, and I'm here for it, and I love it, and I like that it makes us feel things, and it gives us that opportunity to keep that sort of trend of storytelling, because at the end of the day, it's just a different form of story, and it's really
Just
nice.
being commercialized.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to our stories this week. Thank you so much. It was really fun just chatting about our interests and stuff. And if you enjoyed it, tell us some of your favorite stories, favorite movies, TV series, any controversial discourse that you picked up and want to fight us on. You know, if you think Haikyuu's trash,
What unpopular
come into
opinion
the come into the
if
comments.
people come
and
to me
shout
and say
at Lauren.
Haiku is trash, I will put you in the trash myself.
Please, someone come and do it. I would love to see that thread.
Come We will fight. Give me your unpopular opinions. Give me
Yes.
I love an unpopular opinion.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, give us the recommendations, guys.
That too.
We enjoy.
Even though my list is ever growing and it's not gonna stop because I haven't gotten to it yet. Sorry, Lorian.
goblin person.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to us, guys. We're trying to make
Thanks,
some stories
guys.
of our own. And if you like them, give us a like, give us a comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Share. Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Tell your friends about these two weirdos who are talking a lot of nonsense on the internet. We'd really appreciate the support. And yeah, if you guys want us to chat about anything specific, drop a comment.
Yeah, man. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.